In today's episode, I have an interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Gabriele Quaranta, and he is basically heading over from Reid Supply as a digital marketing manager. And I had a quick chat with him prior because we love to bring in, unique and interesting industries and marketers within those into the show. And I think definitely we're in for a treat today. We're definitely going to be learning about a very interesting company today with Reid Supply. So, Gabriele, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lucas. Glad to be here.
Thanks, Gabe. So, give us an overview. What is Reid Supply all about?
All right. Reid Supply is an industrial components supplier, provides hinges, knobs, and anything you need for manufacturers building stuff.
Very straightforward, very good. And who would be sort of, coming over to your stores? Is that like, big, companies ordering from you guys? Is that like the DIY, guy from home? Like who's heading over to your page and getting started?
In essence, it could be anyone, just because of the breadth and range of products that we serve. But we tend to focus on your manufacturers and B2B. So anywhere, from specialists from NASA to anyone building an HVAC system.
Very interesting. Okay, so two-sided, both is possible. That definitely people can also by themselves get their information. Okay, that's very cool. Okay, so you as a marketer then, right, having this different type of persona, so that we have the individual that is doing DIY work at home, and we also have manufacturers and potentially researching the right partner moving forward. How do you think about sort of the journey of them getting to know about Reid Supply? Like how they hear about you guys, what brings them to your page? Maybe tell us a little bit about the journey that they're going through, or
Yeah.
the client acquisition channels in that matter.
Definitely client acquisition, definitely digital first. It is, Reid has been involved in digital as one of the forerunners in the industrial space, but definitely more and more with COVID and working from home. What we see is very important is the product information. So, what is the material? What are the attributes, which are key decision factors for the engineers?
Yeah.
We're using this to provide this information to engineers during the design phase, and then your typical marketing information of why Reid Supply, what we offer. Feedback from customers is definitely the level of customer support and the experience of the salespeople that can engage with procurement and buyer teams to help find the right solution.
Interesting. So really supporting them alongside that journey of, when they're starting their projects, sometimes to even going in deeper in terms of the content that you guys are providing.
Yeah, definitely one of the content pieces that is really strong is the offering the CAD file, as that's the first thing that engineers need when deciding on a project.
Makes a whole lot of sense. Okay, so one thing that has been coming up on the show, and I'm curious to ask you that, is specifically when we have industrial e-commerce type businesses, when they focus on some very specific products, there's always that balance between actually selling a product online versus getting a potential partner into a sales conversation and getting a partnership going. Like how do you think about this, about the website? What are the entry doors, and what's your perspective on that?
Well, just the variety of customers we serve, again, from the big conglomerates, automotive clients, to your small, consulting or one 10 person. You have a wide range of personas and different needs. So it's about meeting the customer where they're at, and that's why we took the e-commerce path, because if you just need to buy one product, you can pull out your credit card. But again, key focus areas are: do you have the right product? Does it have the right information? And will it do the job that I need? And it all centers around that. So whether you want to just download a CAD file because you're building a project, want to engage later and via your traditional email and engagement channels, or you're ready to buy, and you have the possibility to either have an account with credit lines, and you can manage it directly, kind of self-serve. And that's one thing we're seeing, more and more throughout the years of, larger companies having dedicated accounts with wish lists that engineers can do their shopping, and then the procurement team kind of combines it and makes the orders on a weekly, quarterly schedule.
Very cool. Okay. The folks that we have on the show, they're typically very critical with their own, digital buying journey and their websites that they're providing. There's always something to improve and change. How do you think about the website at the moment? What do you think is the strength, and on the flip side, where do you see room for, further development and improvement for the experience?
Definitely the strength is the breadth and range that is offered. That is something that, you can spec out your entire project from the products that we offer. Challenge, and I think this is one thing that everyone faces, is categorizing, combining the product information and making it, when you have upwards 40 to 100,000 SKUs, combining, what are the right ones, and servicing that individual level of personalization. That's the definitely areas to focus on.
Interesting. Very good. Let's flip gears a little bit and talk a little bit more about sort of your perspective on marketing. And you've been in various roles, definitely over the years in marketing, and also in different types of product areas or industries. So I'm curious now, being in the industry that you're at right now, what have you found to be sort of the challenge when it comes to bringing in innovation into marketing, into that industry? Like marketers always looking to bring in like new processes, automation, and the likes. What's a challenge that you would encounter in the industry that you're active in when it comes to that?
Definitely in the industrial space, it's definitely attribution or proving the ROI. When you have long sales cycle and a very high, we tend to find a very high ROPO effect. So research online, purchase offline, definitely CRM tools, account-based marketing. These tools are bridging the gap, but it's always the question with, how much is attributed to marketing. And I think in the industrial space, it's definitely moving away from ROAS, or your immediate, day on day, week on week return, to start thinking on, working with sales and the marketing influence pipeline of, what is the value of those deals.
Makes sense. And in terms of conversion optimization, obviously e-commerce, there's more and more knowledge being shared on what is important in generic terms, at least for conversion optimization. But obviously here's a very specific and unique case. Like, what have you found to be maybe a challenge or something interesting that you learned when it comes to conversion optimization in the industrial space?
Probably the biggest challenge is the audience is reluctant to provide their email address, in the sense of you have to provide them value. And that's why the focus that has increased conversion optimization is pushing CAD files, calculators. So being at providing value to the audience that they see. And then once you have that contact detail, that's when then the sales process can begin in earnest.
Okay. Makes a whole lot of sense. Very cool. Very specific to the industry, but I think other folks can maybe extract some learnings from that into their specific industry.
Yeah, I think it's understanding the industry, because definitely on a second phase, it's kind of e-commerce. Definitely what worked for us is price breaks and showing pricing and volume pricing, and that's one thing that companies always ask. That has actually, by increasing conversion optimization on the website, we have reduced the cost to serve on the back end for your CSRs, and they're engaged in more sales or revenue driving conversation rather than just how much do you give me if I order 100 pieces? What's my so definitely understanding the market and the business you operate in is key.
Very good. Let's switch gears one more time. We love to learn also from the people behind the marketing strategies. I'd love to learn a little bit more about your own personal sort of way to educate yourself in marketing, because as we know, there's tons of content out there. What do you read? Like, how do you decide what to filter, what not to filter out, specifically because you're in that very specific industry and maybe a lot of things don't necessarily apply that people write about e-commerce for you guys? So how do you think about that?
I think it's probably having a critical mind, or in the sense, one of the nuggets of information for me has been Twitter, following people that provide tests. Marketing has a lot of examples, but then that can be a catch 22 sometimes, because you can't just copy and paste it. So it's taking the concepts and adapting it to your situation, understanding why it worked, it didn't work. So definitely, keeping up to speed with blogs, conversations, Slack groups, but then understanding how can that be adapted to the specific case. It's easier now to sell, definitely in SaaS and other, e-commerce, which are pure digital players. Definitely easier to sell marketing than years before, when you had to really provide ROI and engage with management to explain that. So that's nice to see there, that change and shift.
Very cool. Since we're slowly coming to an end of the interview, I would love to jump into our rapid fire questions. Are you ready for those? They're a bit of a surprise for the clients and for the,
I'm ready.
for the guests. Very good. What's the last book that you read?
Think Fast and Slow. I think that's definitely applies to marketing, with mixing strategy and tactics. Go deep and then look broad. Always interesting.
What's the one single thing your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Well, as all businesses, I would say revenue. So it's understanding, I think it's how to talk to management about what's important to them, and then being able to execute on the tactics that will reflect, the revenue, because that's the one, revenue and bottom line.
If there would be no boundaries in tech, what's the one thing you would fix for your role today?
I would fix tech stack and make it easier for tools to communicate. Definitely hard to find the one tool that does it all. It's kind of a nirvana. Hopefully someone will get there, but definitely being able to use specific tools that do one job very well and incorporated them into the marketing process and workflow.
What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about the company?
The June and July Google algorithm changes that caused a bit of friction with e-commerce, but we're bouncing back and strong.
Very cool. Okay, if you would be doing some time travel with me, right, to your first role in marketing, and you're just starting your first day in your marketing career, what's the one advice that you would give yourself for your path into digital marketing?
Keep experimenting.
Very good. Very good. So Gabe, I really appreciate you took the time with us today, gave us an insight about Reid Supply, shared with us sort of also the intricacies of the interesting industry that you're working in, and giving us an overview of what you guys are doing. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed today, what's the one thing that they should remember about Reid?
Reid is definitely focused around customer support and provides industrial components for all your projects.
Straight, simple, and forward. Very good. Appreciate it. Thanks again for being a guest on Platform Presents.
Definitely an honor. Thank you for having me.